This house belongs to Emma now, my mother declared, sliding the transfer papers across our grandmother's antique dining table. Sign here, Olivia. It's for the best. I stared at the document, my hand gripping the crystal wine glass Grandma had always saved for special occasions. The same glass she used to toast my graduation from veterinary school just 2 years ago. Now my parents wanted me to sign away the very home she'd left me in her will. No, I said quietly, pushing the papers back. I won't sign. My sister Emma's face darkened, her perfectly manicured nails drumming against the mahogany table. Don't be difficult, Liv. You live alone. I have 3 kids and another on the way. We need the space more than you do. This was Grandma's house, I replied, my voice steady despite the anger building inside me. She left it to me for a reason. A mistake, my father cut in, his tone sharp. Your grandmother wasn't thinking clearly near the end. She didn't realize Emma would need it more. I looked around the dining room, taking in every detail Grandma had carefully chosen. The hand-painted wallpaper she'd imported from France. The crystal chandelier that cast rainbow shadows across the walls. The corner cabinet filled with her prized porcelain collection. Every inch of this house held memories of the woman who believed in me when no one else did. Mom's right, Emma continued, rubbing her pregnant belly for emphasis. The twins need their own rooms, and little Sophie deserves a proper playroom. You're never even here. Always at that animal clinic of yours. This house is wasted on you. My mother stood up, her chair scraping against the hardwood floor. Give me your keys, Olivia. We're done discussing this. No, I repeated, louder this time. Grandma left this house to me. The will was clear. The will was a mistake. My mother's voice rose, her face flushing with anger. Your sister has a family. She deserves this house. You're being selfish, just like always. Just like always. The words stung, but they weren't surprising. I'd heard them my entire life. When I chose veterinary school over law school. When I used my savings to open my own clinic instead of buying a proper house. When I decided to stay single rather than marry the banker they'd chosen for me. I'm not being selfish, I said, standing up to face her. I'm honoring Grandma's wishes. That's when my mother snapped. She lunged forward, grabbing my house keys from the table where I'd set them. Before I could react, she stormed to the fireplace and threw them into the flames. There, she screamed. Now you have no choice. I watched calmly as my keys melted in the fire, remembering Grandma's words from a letter she'd given me the day before she died. Keep it safe, my dear. They'll try to take it from you, but remember, there's more to this house than they know. Emma smirked, probably mistaking my calm for defeat. See, now just sign the papers, and we can all move forward. I've already started planning the renovations. Planning renovations? I asked, raising an eyebrow. In a house you don't own. Don't be dramatic, my father growled. The papers are right here. Sign them, and we'll forget this childish display of defiance. I reached for my phone, checking the time. 8:45 p.m. In just over 12 hours, they would all understand exactly why Grandma had chosen me. The secret meeting with her lawyer was scheduled for 9 a.m. tomorrow. A meeting none of them knew about. I think we're done here, I said, gathering my purse. I'll have the locks changed tomorrow. You ungrateful little, my mother started, but I cut her off. Careful, Mom. Remember what Grandma always said about burning bridges? I walked out of the dining room, leaving them stunned by my newfound confidence. As I closed the front door behind me, I heard Emma's shrill voice. She's bluffing. She has to be. If they only knew what tomorrow would bring. Grandma's last letter had been very specific about the timing. The truth can only be revealed once they show their true colors, she'd written. When they do, and they will, go to Benjamin. He has everything you'll need. I climbed into my car, smiling despite the tension of the evening. Benjamin, Grandma's lawyer, had called earlier to confirm our meeting. Everything is ready, he'd said. Your grandmother was quite thorough in her preparations. Yes, she certainly was. And tomorrow, my family would learn exactly why she'd chosen me to inherit not just the house, but everything else they didn't know about yet. The next morning, I arrived at Benjamin's office 15 minutes early, my hand steady as I clutched Grandma's final letter. The prestigious law firm occupied the entire top floor of downtown's oldest building, another detail Grandma had always appreciated. Ah, Olivia, Benjamin greeted me, his kind eyes crinkling behind wire-rimmed glasses. Right on time, as always. Just like your grandmother. He led me into his office, where to my surprise, my entire family was already waiting. Mom sat rigid in her chair, while Dad paced by the window. Emma lounged on the leather sofa, one hand resting on her belly, a smug smile playing on her lips. "What are they doing here?" I asked Benjamin quietly. "Your grandmother's instructions," he replied, pulling out a thick folder. "She wanted everyone present for this." My mother spoke first, her voice sharp with triumph. "We've already contacted another lawyer. Olivia's clearly unfit to manage such a large property. She lives alone, works all hours at that clinic." "Margaret," Benjamin interrupted firmly, using my mother's first name. "Please let me finish." He opened the folder and pulled out a DVD. "Before we proceed with anything else, Elizabeth requested this be played for all of you." The screen flickered to life, and suddenly there was Grandma, sitting in her favorite armchair in the library. She looked elegant as always, even though this must have been filmed just weeks before she passed. "If you're watching this," she began, "then my family has done exactly what I expected. They've tried to take the house from Olivia." My mother's face went pale. Emma stopped smirking. "I know my daughter," Grandma continued, her voice strong despite her illness. "Margaret never understood the value of anything beyond status and appearances. And Emma, dear Emma, you learned that lesson too well from your mother." Emma shifted uncomfortably on the sofa. "But Olivia," Grandma's eyes seemed to look straight at me, "you saw what I was trying to build. A legacy of compassion, not competition. Of substance, not show." She leaned forward in her chair. "The house is just the beginning. Benjamin will explain everything else. But know this, I chose Olivia because she alone understood what truly matters. The house isn't just a house. It's a testament to everything I believed in." The screen went dark, and Benjamin pulled out another document. "The house," he began, "sits on 5 acres of prime land. Land that, according to city records approved last month, is now zoned for mixed-use development, including medical facilities." My heart stopped. Suddenly, Grandma's insistence that I keep my small veterinary clinic going made perfect sense. Elizabeth's final amendment to her will stipulates that the property can never be sold or transferred without the establishment of a veterinary hospital and animal sanctuary on the grounds. One that must be run by a licensed veterinarian in the family. He looked pointedly at me. "I believe Olivia is the only one who qualifies." "This is ridiculous," my mother exploded. "That property is worth millions. You can't just." "Actually," Benjamin continued, "I can and must." Elizabeth was very clear. The house and grounds can only be used for this purpose. Any attempt to circumvent this will result in the entire property being donated to the State Animal Welfare Society. Emma's face had turned an interesting shade of red. "But my renovation plans, the children's rooms." "The main house remains Olivia's private residence," Benjamin stated firmly. "The grounds will be developed according to Elizabeth's specifications, with funds from her estate designated specifically for this purpose." He turned to me. "Your grandmother left detailed plans for the sanctuary. She believed in your vision, Olivia. She knew you'd make it something special." I sat there, stunned but somehow not surprised. This was so perfectly Grandma, using her resources to create something meaningful, something that would help others. "This is all your fault," Emma hissed at me. "You turned her against us." "No," I said quietly, finally understanding everything. "Grandma made her own choices. She just saw who we really were." Benjamin handed me another envelope. These are the architectural plans she had drawn up. She worked with specialists in veterinary facility design. "Everything's ready to go whenever you are." My mother stood up, her voice shaking with rage. "We'll contest this. You can't possibly." "Actually," Benjamin interrupted again, "you can't. Elizabeth made sure of that. Any legal challenge automatically triggers the donation clause. The State Animal Welfare Society is quite excited about the possibility, should it come to that." I opened the envelope, looking at the beautiful plans Grandma had created. A state-of-the-art veterinary hospital, rehabilitation facilities for injured wildlife, education centers for children to learn about animal care. She thought of everything. "One more thing," Benjamin added, pulling out a final document. "Elizabeth left a substantial trust fund to maintain the sanctuary. Olivia, as director, you'll have full access to these funds." My father, who had been silent until now, finally spoke. "How much?" Benjamin named a figure that made everyone in the room gasp. I sat there, holding the plants, thinking about all the times Grandma had asked about my small clinic, about my dreams of expanding, of helping more animals. She hadn't just been making conversation. She'd been planning this all along. 6 months later, I stood on the freshly laid pathway leading to the Elizabeth Grace Animal Sanctuary and Veterinary Hospital. The autumn breeze rustled through the newly planted trees, each one dedicated to a different animal we'd helped since opening. The main house remained largely unchanged. Grandma's perfect taste didn't need updating. But the grounds had transformed into something even more beautiful than the architectural renderings had suggested. Modern buildings with warm, natural materials blended seamlessly into the landscape. The rehabilitation center's glass walls reflected the morning sun, while the education building's living roof bloomed with native flowers. Dr. Olivia, Sarah, one of our new veterinary residents, called from the wildlife center. The eagle's ready for release. I smiled, remembering how Grandma used to tell me stories about the birds that visited her garden. She would have loved this moment. The sanctuary had become everything she'd envisioned and more. We'd already helped hundreds of animals, trained dozens of veterinary students, and hosted countless school groups. Every day, I saw her legacy living on in ways that meant so much more than social status or property values. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma. "Mom's finally ready to visit. Can we come by today?" I hadn't seen my family since that day in Benjamin's office. They tried calling lawyers, but Benjamin had been right. Grandma's provisions were ironclad. Eventually, they'd gone quiet, probably hoping I'd fail on my own. "The sanctuary is open to everyone," I texted back. "Come whenever you'd like." They arrived just as we were preparing for the eagle release. Emma's children, whom I'd rarely been allowed to see before, pressed their faces against the observation window in wonder. My mother stood stiffly nearby, trying to maintain her composure even as her grandchildren's excitement betrayed her careful indifference. "Welcome to the sanctuary," I said, approaching them. "Would you like to watch the release?" Sophie, Emma's youngest, bounced with excitement. "Can we, Mom? Please?" Emma hesitated, then nodded. I led them to the viewing area where other visitors had gathered. The eagle, healed from a wing injury that had brought her to us 3 months ago, perched majestically in her temporary enclosure. "This is Grace," I told the children, naming the eagle after Grandma's middle name. "She's ready to go home today." As we watched the magnificent bird soar into the sky, I heard my mother's sharp intake of breath. For a moment, she looked exactly like Grandma. Same profile, same expression of quiet wonder. "You've done well here," she said finally, her voice soft. "Your grandmother would have been proud." "I know," I replied simply. Emma watched her children press handprints against the viewing glass. "The kids have been begging to visit. They saw the educational program advertised at school." "We offer weekly classes," I said. "They're welcome to join." Later, as my family prepared to leave, my mother lingered behind. She stood in front of Grandma's portrait in the education center's entrance hall, staring at the familiar smile that had always seen more than we realized. "She knew, didn't she?" Mom asked quietly. "She knew exactly what would happen when she left you the house." "She knew who we all were," I replied. "And she wanted to make sure her legacy reflected what she truly valued." Mom nodded slowly. "I didn't understand before. But seeing this place, seeing what you've built," she paused, choosing her words carefully. "Perhaps she chose better than I thought." It wasn't quite an apology, but from my mother, it was monumental. That evening, after everyone had gone, I sat in Grandma's library, still my favorite room in the house. The same books lined the shelves, the same chair waited in the corner, but now the windows looked out over something new, something meaningful. I pulled out Grandma's final letter, worn from multiple readings. The last paragraph still brought tears to my eyes. "My dearest Olivia, they may not understand now, but you will make them see. Not through argument or anger, but through action. Build something beautiful. Create something meaningful. Show them why I chose you, not because you needed it most, but because you would do the most with it. The house isn't just walls and land. It's a foundation for dreams. Your dreams, which were always bigger than status or society. Make it matter, my darling. Make it shine." Looking out at the sanctuary, watching the sunset paint the buildings in shades of gold, I knew I had done exactly that. The house wasn't just a house anymore. It was a beacon of hope, a place of healing, a legacy that would outlive us all. Grandma had known all along that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's proving them wrong by doing something right. And as I watched another rescued owl take flight in the evening sky, I knew she was somewhere, smiling that knowing smile of hers, proud that her faith in me had been well placed.